A viewer has a question about a road rage incident and wants to know if he handled it correctly. But before we get into it, we have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. Just click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. I'm going to read this verbatim, Tom, as we go here. As a member of the USCCA, I experienced a road rage encounter in which I was followed into a parking lot and verbally assaulted by a young man and his girlfriend. At one point, the young lady threw a bottle at me, and I caught the bottle. Then I let her know I was armed and pulled my weapon. At no point did I fire my weapon. Then I proceeded to just leave the area and finish my day. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Did I handle this situation correctly? A lot of stuff going on there, and that ninja action of catching the soda bottle there, that sounds pretty good. But he drew his weapon, and to me that sounds, it could be a brandishing situation depending on what sort of laws they have down there in Louisville. But I don't know if, throwing a bottle, totality of circumstances and stuff like that is worthy of drawing the weapon and saying you're armed. What do you think about this?
I've seen a lot of people become clients because they've announced, displayed, or drawn a firearm. And it sounds like, as this gentleman was as well, a genuine true victim in the situation. But it's also an undeniable fact that once you introduce a firearm into an equation, there's no unringing that bell, and you can oftentimes elicit some very pronounced and unpredictable behavior from people. While our reaction, and my reaction would be, this guy has a gun. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to leave him alone. Other people may go the opposite way with that. That's how you become a client.
Yeah, the situation escalates very quickly.
It can escalate, and the thing is that as good guys, we're not wired the same way as a lot of these bad guys are, right? We don't have that hyper aggression that statistically many criminals have. That's part of the reason why they're street toughs, right? There's a hyper aggressive attack dog mentality that can be part of it. So the problem is we're doing something that rationally would make sense to us as a fair tactic to de-escalate. But there's a segment of society, probably the same people who scream at you and throw bottles, I bet those Venn diagrams have some overlap, right? That will treat that as a provocation. And I'm not suggesting that that's fair. I'm not suggesting that that's rational or sane. I'm not suggesting any of those things. What I am saying is that you run a risk of who am I dealing with. You run a risk of you're flipping a coin, you're rolling the dice of who am I dealing with, how are they going to react? Are they going to have a logical, insane reaction, or are they going to have an irrational reaction to it? You're also running many other risks, such as if you actually produce the firearm and draw it out of your holster, what are other people seeing?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm thinking somebody's calling the cops.
Someone's calling the cops here. And are they going to say this guy with the gun is trying to rob these people and they're trying to defend themselves and that's why they threw the bottle? There's no unringing that bell of once you produce your firearm. Now, it sounds like it worked out in this scenario. So,
yeah, he was able to carry on his day, so clearly nobody called the cops or else they might have been looking for him.
And in there is one of the questions of nobody called the cops.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of, I think, one of the built-in what's going on here, right? Because it doesn't sound like sounds like they may have been crazy, but it doesn't sound like these are people who have a significant amount of exposure to the criminal justice system. Because if they did, they would understand that the first people to make contact with the police in many ways can control the narrative of who's the victim, who's the attacker.
Yeah.
They can kind of point the spear away from them of the justice system and towards the other guy. And again, I've had clients who, very similar circumstances, frankly, where they did not win the race 10-1, the bad guys did. So by not calling the police, that was another roll of the dice. Again, it's another roll of the dice that worked out for this gentleman, for this member, but just the same, it was a roll of the dice. What would I have done? Again, not knowing Kentucky laws and just kind of taking more of a generic snapshot of the laws that are out there, I would not have produced the firearm. If I'm being followed into a whatever parking lot this is, Walmart, whatever, if they're following too, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
And if, I'm driving around And if they're still following me, I'm driving to the police station. I'm calling the cops.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to handle road rage incidents anyway, is one, certainly don't go home. Don't lead them to where you live. No need to stop your car and get out, because that's when things go really, really badly. Chances are, unless they're really kind of psycho, they're not going to ram your car. We have seen that happen, but in most cases, if somebody keeps following you, do the old make 4 right turns, and then, like you said, get on the phone to 911, call the police, and drive to the police station and give a really good description of the car that's following you, and let the authorities handle it.
And to be clear, I'm not suggesting that that's fair. And obviously, we don't know what happened in this road rage. Maybe it was pretty mutual. Someone cut someone off, so the other person cut someone off. Someone was brake check. Who knows, right? And frankly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, this couple who threw the bottle could have been 100% in the wrong. At the end of the day, I care about going home.
Yeah.
That's what I care about. So you know what? If I've got to put my errand to the store on a 5-10 minute hiatus, that's a lot better than spending nights in jail and facing felony charges. And I'm not saying necessarily that that's the way every single time it ought to be, but that's my value hierarchy of how I view things. Is I want to go home.
Yeah.
What's going to make me get there? Not stopping and allowing these people to confront me, right? Even if this guy didn't get out of his truck and approach them, even if they parked and just charged at him, there was a way to avoid that. But that being said, I'm glad he got out of it. I'm glad that it doesn't sound like anything worse happened from it. But to be candid, that's not how I would have handled it.
Yeah. There was a better way than getting out of your car
Yeah.
and pulling.
I'm glad it worked out, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. Want to know when it's legal to draw your gun? Click the video right next to me to reveal a detailed explanation from a former police officer and competitive shooter.
Let me give you a definition of lethal force. Lethal force is any force that would cause death or great bodily harm.